What's going on, guys? You got Sturkules coming at you with another tier list video. Now, if you see here, you can see last time I did a starter tier list. Now, I chose one from each line, kind of just went from there. If you want to see my opinions, you're going to have to go back and watch the last video, which I have linked in the comments. But here, we're going to be making a Pokemon mainline game tier list. Tier list? That's not a word. Tier list. I am so good at talking. But I'm doing it a little differently. I'm not just ranking the games, okay, like how much I love them. Actually, I want to do that in another video. And the reason I'm not doing that with the tier maker is I want to go way more in depth where I can include all my thought processes with what goes into each gen, include some pictures, make a slideshow out of it, all that, even give my ratings. Here, I'm kind of just going off my thoughts. So I wanted to go a different way with how I would do this. So I'm looking at each Pokemon game's replayability and ranking them. So as you can see the tiers, at the top we've got the GOATed, could play over and over and over. This just shows how huge of a Pokemon fan I am. I really don't play that many other video games. I play Pokemon, I play competitive Pokemon. Like, I do love like sports games, but I don't have a lot. Like, the newest console I have is my Switch, right? Like I have a PS3, so I'm not playing that new of sports games. Sports games aren't that great on the Switch. I do play like some older sports games a lot that are fun. There are other games I like I just started the Immortals Phoenix Rising game or whatever it's called. That's a lot of fun. I like games like that. I start games like Breath of the Wild, and I have a lot of fun. I just don't get through them. I do love stuff like Mario Kart, the Mario sports games. Stuff like that I enjoy. I enjoy all different types of games, but when it comes to what I play when I've got the time, like usually if I've got time, I'd rather be doing something active, like playing pickleball or basketball. I'd rather be watching TV with my wife. I'd rather be reading or something. But when I do play games, it's almost always Pokemon. So you're going to see how much of a nerd I am. There are games I could play over and over and over and keep going back to them. Some of the games I put up there, I have literally played over and over. Next tier down, great game. Replay, challenge run, and come back to it. So basically I'm saying I could play that game 3 times, and I would still be willing to come back to it at some point. Like, I'd play it through, I'd replay it at some point with like a different team. Like, a lot of times when a new gen comes out, I want to play with just that new gen's Pokemon. Then the next time around, I might just do it with whatever I want. And then there's a good chance I'll even do a challenge run of some sort, and sometimes I'll do a challenge run and a Nuzlocke. One of those challenge runs might just be a mono-type challenge, something like that. It's not unknown for me to have played one of these games 3 or 4 times. If it's in the good tier, I'm saying it's worth replaying multiple times. Like, I'd play it, do a Nuzlocke of it, and then someday, a few years down the line, I might be like, hey, why don't I just do a casual mono-type playthrough of it? Sure, I could see myself doing that. The average tier, I'm saying it's worth replaying once. Like, and don't get me wrong, something I have in the average tier, it's possible I've replayed it once and started another playthrough, or played it twice. But what I'm saying when I say worth replaying is like, you'll play it again and be happy you played it again. Like, yeah, that was fun, I'm glad I did that again. I could play a game 3 times and just be like, yeah, it was whatever, but I didn't really need to do it that 3rd time. I could have done something else and probably would have had a better time. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. Last technical tier is meh. Once was enough, and there are a few of those games where I played it once. I could say I enjoyed it, but if I'm going to go play Pokemon again, I'm going to play a different version. And then there's a few I'm going to say have not played / have not finished. I'm not going to put every game on here. Like, for example, and I had these in order, now they're out of order. That's okay. For example, if I play Black and White, actually I'm going to fix those and come back. Alright, I'm back. Got things how I like it. So I'm going to go through and sort these. As you can see where I've got them from the top, I've kind of got them sorted Gen 1 through 8. Now, I'm not going to be putting every single game on there. For example, if I put Pokemon Blue on there, I feel no need to put Pokemon Red because they're just counterparts of each other. I will put Yellow, though, just because they are different enough. So, other example, like if I put Pokemon White, I don't need to put Black, but I will put Black too because they're different enough. Same thing if I put Leaf Green. That's different enough from Blue and Yellow. So anyway, we're going to start, we'll go Gen 1 to Gen 8. Let's go Gen 8 to Gen 1. We're going to go backwards again. Most people start at the start. We're going to start at the end. And starting things off, Some of these could move. Like right now, I would think... So I'm going to get a lot of flack for this. I know Gen 8 got a lot of crap because it wasn't what people expected. Expectations are crazy, right? We go in, every new generation has to be the best game we've ever played. Sometimes a game can be a really great game. It doesn't have to be better than the game you already loved at the top of the list. But even then, I'm not just ranking these what's best and what's worst. Goated could play over and over. I played through Pokemon Sword. I played through a Nuzlocke on my own. And then I did a... a Cage Lock against Cole with this. So that was 3 times, and I came back and I was ready to keep going. But I'm ready to say that with the expansion passes, with the Shiny 11 I love to do, I could just go ahead and call this replayability-wise goated. I could play it over and over. I didn't think it was as handholdy as people said. I thought the gym challenges were really fun. I missed the Elite Four a little bit, but the ending tournament was still fun. The story was not great. But at the same time, that means that I could play through it faster again on a replay. It was fun to Nuzlocke because you can make it as hard or easy really as you want to. It was a very high quality of life game. So I'm going to put it goated, could play over and over. It could drop down to just a great game that I could replay, challenge, and come back. We'll just have to see. That's the only Gen 8 game so far. I'll talk a little more on where I think the Sinnoh remakes are going to be right now. But next we got... Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. Now, just Eevee, not Pikachu. You only need to play one. And, I actually like Kanto. I grew up with Kanto. I started from the get-go with them. I thought the shiny hunting was really fun. I could talk about what I like about this game, but when it really came down to it, I played the game once. I shiny hunted on it a lot, but I never had the desire to go back and play the story again. And I guess the main story... counting main story gyms, Elite Four, bad guy. That's what I'm counting as replaying it again. I actually tried replaying it, going for a second time through doing a Nuzlocke, and it was just so easy that a Nuzlocke wasn't fun. So I put it down. I haven't played it again other than to shiny hunt every once in a while, or if I needed to transfer something from Go to Home, it was an easy way to do it. So yeah, once was more than enough. Now going on to Gen 7, I am going to do one of the Ultras and one of the regulars. So going on to Ultra Moon, once again, these got kind of hated on because people felt like they were too similar. There were enough differences, though, I almost did see what people were saying and put them together, being so similar, well, I'll just make them one entity. But there are enough differences that I actually played them a different amount of times. I played Sun and Moon. I played Sun multiple times. I played it with the new ones. I don't know if maybe a year later I went back and replayed it, did a Nuzlocke of it, and then I think I even did a monotype challenge. Maybe I didn't play and replay. I think I played it, I did a monotype challenge, and then I Nuzlocked it. And I think 3 was enough, but I could go back and play it. So I think it's a great game worth putting there. And I think Ultra Moon is goated. I could play it over and over because... not counting the wormholes and things that made it different, it was tweaked a little bit, and a big thing is you had different trials, and you had post-game things that I would consider still part of the story. Because, for example, a lot of the main people who they were putting you up to fight their trials, you could go back and actually fight their teams. I thought that was cool. But not only that, but I consider the Rainbow Rocket episode to be part of that story that you'd go through and play, and I think that was a fun addition. I would say the same thing with Oras. I would say the Delta episode I'd count as part of the replayable story. So yeah, you had a lot of different battles. The Elite Four you faced in Ultra Moon was different, so you might think it's weird that I'm putting both of those so high, but I played through the Gen 7 games a ton, and even though going back to the DS is hard after the Switch, even with that, I think I may have only played those games 3 times each, which I'm saying only, that's a ton. 6 playthroughs of Gen 7, basically. And that was before YouTube. I was just doing it for fun while I was watching TV or whatever. But going back, I think I could play those again in a few years. If there's a few dead years where we're not having much new Pokemon stuff out that I'm wanting to go into, if I've got time, I might go through and play one of those again. So I think I could put that one on the goated level. This one might be able to drop down to good, depending on... We'll just see if things push it down. We'll make it earn its way up there, because I do think the Ultra games were better, even though, like I said, my initial playthrough of Sun, I thought it was just phenomenal. So we've gone through Gen 7, going to Gen 6. we got Alpha Sapphire. Now, I played this game twice, and I was happy I did so. I played it the first time just to experience it. I had only played Hoenn once before, and we'll get to how I felt about that. But I had never been back to Hoenn, so going through it was an exciting time. I wasn't encapsulated by it, but I did like it enough that I decided, hey, I would like to do a full-on water-type playthrough of this. So I did go back, and I replayed it again. And at a certain point, I think I tried to do like a Wonderlock of it, and I just wasn't into it. So I don't think it's worth replaying multiple times, but I did think it was worth a replay. Man, I'm realizing how many times, though, I've played just Pokemon games through that. Even the ones I'm not that huge on, I've at least replayed it. That's crazy. I've spent a lot of my life with these games. Don't judge me, okay? It's fun. And I multitask. You know, I hang out with people. I do. Anyway, I'm going to stop justifying Ben. This is a YouTube channel. Who cares? Still staying on Gen 6. I think X at least goes up here. Pokemon X was really fun. I don't see them as the best games. Like, once again, we're not getting too much into that. But, like, I don't think they'll be super high when I rank them as my favorites. But when it comes to replayability, once again, I think the gyms were fun. If you had the experience share on, they were pretty easy. If you had them off, they could be kind of challenging if you're not one to grind a whole lot, which I'm not because I like a challenge. And if you want to play on set instead of Switch, that makes it harder. So yeah, set and Switch are battle styles, not like the Switch. You can't. Anyway, sorry. But you know, I enjoyed the games. There were a lot about them that I wanted to go back and play. I do remember when the 6th Gen first came out, the Kalos decks, there were enough new mons that I wanted to use that I actually did do a Kalos only play. And then while waiting for more stuff, at some point I think I just replayed it again casually. I think I may have done my first Nuzlocke on there, and I remember doing a monotype run. I was doing an all-dark run, and I got my first ever full-odd shiny, a shiny Esper. I was doing a full dark team, and you better believe I pretended that Meowstic was part dark type so that I could keep it on the team, because I was using that shiny. So I've played that game several times, and I've come back to it. I can't remember if I played it 3 or 4 times, but it's enough that I could keep going back to it. I don't know if I'd quite put it on the goated level just because I'd be more excited to play those other ones again, but it's kind of fringe, and I was actually surprised by that. Like I said, when I was running through this in my mind, I figured I'd put it good, but then when I started thinking about replayability, it's very high up there. Getting to Gen 5, you know I'm a Gen 5 stan. I've played the Black 2, I've played Black 2 and White, and I've played those so many times. I think Pokemon Black, I don't want Pokemon Black, I want Pokemon White. Because I like Zekrom better tun Reshiram. Otherwise, I don't really remember the version exclusives that well. I just remember wanting to buy Pokemon White because I liked Zekrom better than Reshiram. And same with Black 2 over White 2. I wanted the Zekrom fusion. So anyway, I think Pokemon White is the most fun game to go back and replay. There's just something so fresh about just how different it felt from every other generation. A lot of people didn't like that you only had that dex there, but for me, I was very excited to go through and play it with new mons, and I've went back and played it over and over, and I think the biggest part is not only is the gym challenge fun, but I think the story is very fun. I don't know, man, actually, like, now that I'm thinking about it, Black and White 2 did have the World Tournament, which gives you a lot of reason to go back and play through it. Kind of post-game stuff as well. I remember the rival being pretty annoying, and I remember not liking the story as much, though. So I think if I were going to play one or the other, though having more of a national dex is nice. We'll come back to those. Yeah, that's a weird controversy, and I can't remember which I had where. I just remember one Gen 5 was in each. I'm going to roll with what it is for now, just because I think the story is so good in White that it's got to be up very high. Going to the Gen 4 games, I'm trying to remember. Pokemon Soul Silver. I liked the game. I think I probably replayed it once. You're going to think it's weird that I'm putting that so low. These are rated as some of the greatest games of all time. People absolutely love them. I love the Johto region. Johto does lean a little too heavily on Kanto to be good. I did hate how a lot of the Johto mons you couldn't get till post-game. The Johto dex was relatively small and weak, but they had just a great feel to them. But I just don't want to spoil too much. I think I played it once and I really enjoyed it, thought it was great. I think I probably replayed it at some point, and I think I may have done like a monotype run with poison, and it was good enough, but I've never really wanted to go back to it. In fact, we'll get to that. So here we're going to start getting to a few games that I'm putting as I haven't played them. So the Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, I technically never played Diamond or Pearl. I played Platinum for the first time, was borrowing it from a friend, played through and beat it, really enjoyed it. In fact, when I played through it, it was one of my favorite, like, I probably enjoyed it more than any playthrough ever. Like, maybe not. At the time, I probably did. I thought it was so fun. The champion battle was great. A lot of memorable stuff along the way. Didn't really like the evil team, but I liked where it took you with the distortion world and all that. I thought there were a lot of cool new Pokemon. And I did replay it at one point. I remember selling it and then buying it again to replay. And the reason it has to be here, even though I loved it so much, is because those games are so slow. Going back to them after playing a lot of the newer games just felt like I could barely handle it, and like trying to grind, like I tried to do a Nuzlocke, and trying to grind between gyms was so slow because not only are the battles so slow, but you're getting such low HP because there's not that great stuff to grind against. I couldn't even get through. I love Nuzlockes. I love the rush you get from them. I couldn't even get through a Nuzlocke trying to do that. I just kind of told myself, just wait for the Sinnoh remakes and then play those like crazy. I think the Sinnoh remakes are going to end up in contention for the most fun Pokemon games ever. Ones that you can just keep going to and play over and over. Platinum is at average worth replaying, and with just how the new quality of life stuff that makes games so much more playable, would be close to Once Was Enough, as good as it was at the time. Which is where I'm going to put my next few picks. Pokemon Leaf Green. It was fine, you know. Yeah, I didn't feel like it ever rocked my world. I played through it once. It gave me a fun feeling of going back to Kanto. Played through it with, I think I tried to switch up the team from what I usually would have done in a Kanto playthrough. I had fun. I don't think I've ever went back and played it again. I've played a lot of ROM hacks of Fire Red and Leaf Green, but that's specifically different from these games. Yeah, I don't think I've ever went back and played it, and I'm not too mad about that fact. And then same thing with Pokemon Emerald. Now, not counting Elevated Emerald, once again, I told you in the last video, I'm really not a huge fan of Hoenn. The Hoenn I love is Pokemon Elevated Emerald, and that's because my buddy did a really good job editing sprites and types and shinies. It wasn't because I enjoy the experience of Hoenn very much, because I probably enjoy it less than any other region. I think I played Pokemon Emerald once and I was good. Then I played Alpha Sapphire and I never felt a reason to go back to Emerald. I know it was a very high revered game and very beloved. Just didn't do it for me. I never played Ruby or Sapphire. Only played Emerald. After playing Emerald, didn't feel the need to play the other games just based on enjoyment level. So, back to the early on Pokemon games. We got Silver, Yellow, and Blue. And I think, let's see, where'd I have these? I'm trying to remember. I had something very specific. Did I miss a game? I did. Okay. Silver, Yellow, Blue, and Crystal. I'm just kind of throwing them on there. Crystal, I never played. When they actually all got released onto the DS, I actually planned to play Crystal, but Gold and Silver came out first, and I couldn't wait for Crystal, so I bought Silver and played it. Never went and played Crystal. The original games were so fun. I think... Nope. I think they're fun and worth replaying multiple times. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. I think that's how I had it. I think Pokemon Blue and Yellow and Silver, you know, kind of what you think of the two original regions. I think they're fun. I think they're worth replaying multiple times. But they don't have like that endless quality. Like I could play over and over. Or really, like, I could play a few times and maybe a few years later go back to it, but like it's not something I'm going to want to keep doing. At a certain point, I'm going to want to mix up my adventures. That's just kind of how it goes. So they're very good games, worth replaying. That kind of bumps Sun up because I do that. In comparing it to those, I would want to go back to Sun, even though it's not as unique an adventure to Ultra Moon. Like I could say over the years I may have ended up playing Blue as many times or more. Does that make me want to drop it down? You know what? I think I'm going to give the OGs some love. And you got to go. Yellow always felt like kind of a cop out because you could get all the starters. I think you got to go red or blue, man. I think you just got to do it. And not only do I like being aesthetically pleasing and just having 3 in each column, I really felt like that wasn't super plain when I went through it. This kind of feels right. Looking at my list, and I'm not necessarily saying that I think these are, that it being up high necessarily means this is a better game than this, because when I say are you playing, when I'm going to be comparing those in a different video, I think I'm going to be looking at like one playthrough, what else it has to offer besides a playthrough. Replayability will be factored in, but that's not the only thing. This is just, to me, replayability. How many times could I keep going back and playing a game? And this is kind of what I've done in the past, driving it based off of that. So it ended up being kind of weird. A lot of things not where I expected them. Like, I would think Platinum and Soul Silver would have been pretty high. I would have thought that X and something like Yellow might not have been that high. I don't know. But this is where it ended up. Sword and Shield, I didn't expect to have that high just because it was so new yet. But I just have the feeling it's going to be a game that for years to come, like in future years, I'll go back and play it at times. Maybe I'll have kids someday and I'll watch them play it, and then that'll make me want to play it again. Who knows? But that's where I'm putting those for now. I would love to see how you feel on this topic. I would love to see where you'd put your games. How replayable do you think they are? Once again, this is not ranking your favorites. That's for a different video, and I would love to hear them then. But if you want to take a screenshot of your rankings that you ended up with, if you want to tell me why you had yours where, if you want to tell me why you disagree or agree with mine, please feel free to do so. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed. If you did not, I completely understand. But regardless, either way, I'm going to hop on out of here. And I really do hope you have yourself a great night. Peace.